Well, I've always been a big fan and touched by Timothy. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of self-discipline. But you have to remember that God is in control. So I've probably only had about 15 bad minutes since I got diagnosed with brain cancer. It sounds more ominous than it is, really, at least as I view it, because why would I fear, knowing the Savior that died for me and knowing that God has everything and ordains everything or allows everything? As many of you know, on September the 12th, my birthday, I got a very special gift. It's not what most people would think is a gift, but it was a diagnosis of brain cancer. I had a seizure at work, my only one, my only warning sign. About an hour and a half later, I had an emergency room doctor saying, "You've got a large brain tumor and you're not leaving here until we take it out." What I realized looking back on this is that God was preparing me for this long before I ever had any inkling that I had brain cancer. I had the opportunity years ago to walk with Chris and Stephanie Spielman through her breast cancer journey. And then I also had a very good friend, Neil Laron, a former photographer at the Columbus Dispatch, who died while I was in the hospital waiting for my surgery. And Neil and I had become very close over those 2 years. So I really feel like Stephanie passed the baton to Neil and Neil passed it to me. And I hearken back to something Stephanie used to say, which is, God has allowed me to have cancer. Now it's up to me to figure out what to do with it. So I know when people hear that you have a brain cancer diagnosis, they expect there to be all these tear-filled moments with your family and how are we going to attack this and is Dad going to be okay? I've said from the very beginning that I'm way more concerned with my life's potency than I am my life expectancy. And I truly mean that, because the reason why I view brain cancer as a gift is because it gives you an avenue to have conversations with people about the one thing in life that really matters, which is what are you going to do with Jesus Christ? What are you going to do with Jesus Christ and what He did on your behalf? And when you have cancer, people feel sorry for you, so they let you have those conversations with them that they might not otherwise allow you to have. God has given me a career in media. I've done television, I've done radio, I've done newspapers, so I have a platform, and I really now realize that the platform He has given me is an opportunity for me to be more intentional about incorporating the gospel into everything that I talk about, whether it's news events of the day, whether it's taking a sports headline and then viewing it through a spiritual prism, like what does this say about the behavior of people and how do people behave and how can we reconcile that behavior with who God has created us to be. So when I return to more regular broadcasting duties like I did prior to my brain cancer diagnosis, I realize now that the solutions aren't political, the solutions are spiritual. And I always knew that, but now I can be more intentional in voicing that to the people that are in my audience. So from the beginning, I've understood why everybody is so concerned about me, because when you hear brain tumor, brain cancer, I get it. It scares people. It would scare me if it was a friend. It would scare me more for them than it scares me for me. Not because I'm some superhero or anything, but just because it's never really seemed that scary to me. But what is scary to me is that people coast through life and don't know Jesus as their Savior. They just sort of assume they're okay because I'm a good person, or any of the other defenses that people use, or they don't really want to think about it. I'll get to it sometime. My purpose now is to make sure that those are conversations that I have with people, not just those I care about, certainly with them, but anyone that I meet, is to ask them that most important question, which is, what are you going to do with what Jesus Christ did for you? Because that has become, as it always has been, but even more so now, the #1 priority in my life.